We are joined by Jeff O'Brien, attorney Jeff O'Brien, with our weekly, well, not every week. Last week we didn't, but it's usually our weekly 3 and Out, 3 sports stories. And we just take it from there. 3 and Out. Speaking of out, Derek Falvey, out. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, out. Now, that Kwesi was a firing. Falvey's been sort of positioned as something different, right? Or is it a firing?
Well, they said it was like a mutual parting of the ways.
So he was fired.
Yeah.
So there's no other way to look at it. So this this new poll ad is really shaking things up.
Well, he said he goes, we are going to be competitive this season. So that's different than what they've said in recent years. So,
than what Little Joe said, his brother Joe Pollad, who, by the way, was fired by his big brother.
Yes.
Wow.
So there's been a few firings over there, and they traded Eduardo Julian over the weekend too. So again, kind of, we'll see what he started out fast and then kind of flamed out, and that's been kind of the story with a lot of these younger players that they've had.
Yeah.
And so maybe this is a way of kind of cleaning out that whole class of players that, the Alex Kirilloff, the Miranda, all these guys just kind of, and now Julian just saying, hey, these guys didn't work. I'll give them credit for that. If they're moving on from players, they're admitting, hey, these guys didn't work. We're going to go in a different direction. We're going to replace the decision makers. They got a new manager, everything. It's let's hope if they're willing to open up the checkbook and spend some money.
I'll tell you what, I was not a fan of Joe Pollad, but Tom Pollad, I'm open to it because he has said more right things than wrong things, including, and a lot of things we tripped over ourselves. And we certainly didn't do a good job of communicating what we were going through and what we were trying to accomplish. And that's honest, because they did trip over themselves. And you know what? Yep. I've never been a guy that said, well, Derek Falvey, what a great job he's done. I mean, I never really understood why he lasted as long as he did, particularly after they've just fallen apart recently.
No, I think it's a good, was it the Falvey, Levine, Baldelli, that whole triumvirate? They came in kind of the whiz kid stat boys, and it obviously didn't work.
No, but I still think that that Baldelli, he got screwed over. I mean, it was not his fault when they traded almost half the team.
No,
left
but
with, to pick up the pieces.
Think there was, but I think I was one of those that I questioned some of his decisions a lot of times, especially with pitching and stuff. Again, he was one of these, stats guys, right? And I think it's good that they've cleaned house all the way and are going with a different approach. Put it that way.
All right. Now the Vikings have not cleaned house all the way. They got rid of Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. Rob Brzezinski is going to run the team through the draft. I've been saying it all morning, I think, or all day. I think that he should be the guy. They should give him that. I think he will earn that job through this process.
I agree, and I think what's interesting here, I was pleasantly surprised by the decision. This is the Vikings historically. They will sometimes linger on these decisions too long and then make them. I think we've talked about this before, Bob. I think that you get one shot as a regime to draft your franchise quarterback, and if you miss on it, then it's a series of moves kind of triaging a bad decision, right? And with the Vikings, they usually wait longer to drop the hammer on any part of the decision-making team. But now we're hearing coming out of we're hearing reports that there was some discord between Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi about the quarterback decision, particularly the decision to run with J.J. McCarthy this last season as the starter. And I think they're saying it's not, kind of attributable to Sam Darnold making the Super Bowl. I have to believe that Sam Darnold doing what he did with Seattle certainly was the nail.
Okay, here's the two things that were the nails for this guy. Darnold and the fact that Kevin O'Connell wanted Drake May. And that I've talked about it actually other times on the show, and that he wanted him, and he pushed, and they could have gotten a deal done before the Patriots became so enamored with him. And here I wrote about this we're hearing all this now by these reporters. Where are these brave reporters when this was going on? They didn't report any of it because, I mean, frankly, I think they were scared might be the wrong word, but they don't want to lose access. They don't want to, they want to cozy up to these guys so that they will talk to them. And this is not a pat on my back, but early on, I was the first reporter, columnist in town who went after Denny Green for decisions he made. Denny Green and I had zero relationship. It did not hurt me and my ability to cover the team and get information because, frankly, there were a number of players who had issue with him. I mean, I went over, Gary Zimmerman had an issue with him. I had conversations with him before he forced the trade because he felt he was lied to. So there's always ways to get information, but I think these guys are afraid to upset that they're, maybe that they think that they'll, their burger won't be warm in the lunchroom when they go to eat something. I don't know. But some of them talked about it or tapped around the edges, but most of them are they're kind of like lemmings.
Well, and I think it's a good idea that Rob Brzezinski's in charge at the moment, and I do hope I agree with you. I think he should get the job, and I think one of the decisions that may come up early is okay. Well, speaking of triaging your quarterback position, how are you going to do this? And I've said before, keep an eye on Atlanta. If Atlanta releases Kirk Cousins, I think Kirk Cousins is coming back to the Vikings on a team-friendly contract.
Well, they may try to redo a deal with him because the quarterback that they wanted to replace him with, he's still going to be hurt when the season starts.
Yep.
So that's a problem. That's a very big problem that they have, and they need to do something. But if you're you go to a guy, the best of the free agents out there, I think is Malik Willis. And
I agree.
You could tell him, hey, look what happened when we had Darnold here. It set him up for the big payday, and you play like that, and you're going to be here. I mean, they have an opportunity here. They better not blow it.
I agree. He would be my first choice. I think there's still a chance that I don't know what's going to happen with him, but I just think realistically, I think that they could plug Cousins back into working with KOC and try to salvage what they have.
Yeah, if he becomes available, that might be an issue.
Correct.
But the other thing we've learned with Cousins, he wants big money, deserve it or not. And I don't know
he's going to have to decide at this point if he wants to. He's cashed in so many places. If he's got enough in the bank now to
but we also don't know what was the relationship? From the outside, it looked like it was decent. I'm not privy to what that was.
True.
So that's the thing we definitely have to find out. All right, now, meantime, the Wild and the Wolves, they're not dumping anyone yet. But no,
they just keep winning.
Yeah, well, we're a town of winners.
Yeah, well, the Wild are back up. I think I looked at the standings last night. The NHL measures, their standings is by points, right? Yep. I think the only team in the league ahead of the Wild right now is Colorado, and I keep hearing chatter that Bill Guerin they're still looking at is there a player out there, and I've heard possibly a center that they could add to bring them up to Colorado level without leveraging the future. And I went saw them on Thursday night. They looked really good. They scored 2 goals in the first period, never looked back against Calgary.
Well, it's that trade that they made. Is it a month now or it's more than a month, right?
More than a month, yeah.
That to bring in who was considered
Quinn Hughes.
Quinn Hughes, the best defenseman out there. When they got him, they were near the bottom in points scored by defensemen. Now they're I think right at the top, second in the league, might even be first in the league now. That's incredible that he was able to have that kind of impact. If they could get another impact player like that, they could be unstoppable. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We've always thought everybody we think is unstoppable.
I should mention, Bob, that Thursday night was country night at the Wild game, and I saw a face that's familiar to you. I saw your grandson on the big screen.
Little Bowen. Now, I told Sam to find out, my daughter, Samantha, if is he the or one of the youngest ever to be part of the West Point hockey?
He has to be.
Yeah, I've never seen a kid when I was there do it like a little baby there. She had the little headphones on, good, protect his tiny little ears. But he is, I will say this, he's like the happiest baby. Every time she sends a photo, he's always smiling. And I said, now, why don't you send some of the crying photos? There aren't many, which is great. So he's a happy kid. All right. Jeff O'Brien, thank you, sir. With our 3 It Out, we're going to take a quick break. The BS Show will be right back.